Mick Fanning was always coming back to the J-Bay Open after a high ankle sprain before this event got started. He got it all taped up and was tended to by the WSL medical staff, and he hasn't flinched. He hasn't suffered any lack of performance. He's been into the nines throughout this entire event so far. We've had more nines go down here at Jeffreys Bay than any other venue on tour so far in 2016. As Mick passes some familiar faces. One of his best friends, Dean Harrington, bringing him from the Gold Coast. His mom looking on hand in the competitors area as he prepares for yet another Jeffreys Bay final. Pete Mel, we talk about consistency on tour, making heats, winning world titles. Fanning's always been the most reliable usual suspect when it comes to a world title showdown. Always delivers a top 5 performance. There's never a season where you're going, okay, that was an off year for him. He always delivers, and then returning to a wave that haunted him. He suffered a moment in surfing history that had never been done before. Not only return to Jeffreys Bay to surf again, but to compete again. And now with the chance at another final to take this one on. This is one of the greatest comebacks in sport.
It sure is. It's so fun to watch, too. I mean, he's done it in such a great form. You know, a gentleman. He's always gracious about the people that he surrounds himself with, but with everyone that approaches him. You know, and just to be able to get that semifinal with Julian Wilson to kind of have that quote-unquote rematch. It didn't feel like necessarily a rematch in my eyes. It was just two friends enjoying J-Bay Walls together. You know, you talk about consistency, and I think the thing that Mick has always been able to do is he's consistent in his preparation, you know, and then that's why it's so reflected in his approach on waves and in heats. You know, so much experience. He knows how to come from behind. He knows how to lead. He knows how to put pressure on surfers. You know, what I like about today specifically is that he kind of threw us a little bit of a curveball by switching up his equipment. And I think that that's so nice to do because, you know, he is so good that I mean, if you were to look at some of his highlights from, say, 2006, 2005, you could barely pick the differences between what Mick has done from then till now. He's so good and so consistent in that style and approach of surfing that I think that sometimes you might get lulled a little bit to sleep. And so finals day, why not get a little bit shorter board, a little bit different look for Mick Fanning, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, this is this is an inspired Mick, but it really is just a little bit of a change in equipment and his style, and so it's helped him. You know, this board's shorter, so it's a little bit faster, even more so faster out of the transitions. You know, the swallowtail, when he goes into those arcs and he starts to slow down, the swallowtail allows him to get that extra torque in, that little extra flare, and that's shown a point of difference, and it's been working for him today. I love that he's changed it up on us.
5'9" channel bottom shaped by Darren Hanley with the swallowtail combination. We saw Fanning last night, did a lap by himself almost when it was dark up to Boneyards, got a quick wave, went down to supers, and was doing all this type of surfing, big blowtails into carve combinations. We saw Fanning get an 18.37 combined total against Kanoa Igarashi in round 3. Every heat, he's turning in 8s, high 7s to start. He never seems like he needs a warm-up when he puts the jersey on, Pete.
No, and that's because of his preparation. I mean, he's either out early, or if he's not out early, because sometimes he'll do that, he'll actually warm up and get his full routine before he hits the water. And he has such a great routine that his muscles, everything is lubed up, fired up, ready to go. He never looks like he's warming up in the water. It's always, you know, in his heats, he is on point, straight out of the gates, whether he has to come from behind, like I said, or he starts out solid. He just knows how to choreograph a heat so well, whatever the conditions are.
Mick Fanning never seems to play into another surfer's game plan. When guys are trying to hug and own the opening exchange of a heat, he never falters. He'll let someone get the first blow, then he'll answer back, and he always answered back with big scores. He had a crazy matchup in round 4 against Adriano de Souza, last year's world champ, and Wiggly Dantes, two guys that are famous for just upsetting their competitors' headspace by getting that first exchange.
Well, that's what world champions will do too, is that they'll know exactly what their competitors are going to do before their heat and not play into it. So you won't let that affect him. You know, maybe sometimes he'll maybe even change it up at times too. You know, if you're going to be against Adriano and go, you know what, I'm going to fight for that inside today because it feels like it's more important. And then he'll do that, and then sometimes he'll just go, you can have it, take it. And then that'll work for him too. So it's whatever his vibe is, whatever he's feeling, he kind of taps into that. And, you know, again, those successes have been working for him over and over. Here he is, what, 4 straight finals here at J-Bay?
That's right.
That is amazing.
4 straights, and we had a little bit of a break for the CT showing up here on this right-hand point break. Was runner-up to Jordy Smith back in 2011. It came back to see Mick Fanning make an amazing final with his longtime childhood rival Joel Parkinson, and then splitting the points in the final last year in Julian Wilson to come back another season when he's taking some breaks from competition to return to this kind of form. Fanning getting that equal second with Julian last year after we called it off after the dramatic situation, but took out Joel Parkinson. And remember 2014, Pete, maybe one of the best years we've ever had for this event with wave quality.
Yeah, and he that day surfed an extra heat over Joel Parkinson and still took the win. I mean, so that's how much gas that guy has in his tank. You know, looking at his point totals now, he's guaranteed 21,450 points. You know, even if he finishes out the year right now. If you were to look at last year and the year before, that 21,450 points will have him qualified. So even if he doesn't surf any more events, you know, if you were to put Mick, you know, and Ross was talking about this pre-final, that, yeah, he would be a crazy spoiler in a final, but I don't think he wants to be that spoiler. I think he wants to qualify before and just let the world title unfold.